How otherworldly beings saved my wife's life, a man claims. The testimony given by Mr. Fernando concerning the story of the first extraordinary experience he had with his wife, Catherine, he claims to be completely true. Catherine was born in 1981 in Belarus, and he began studying at the University of Minsk. She wanted to be an educator because she loved working with children. In the afternoon, he worked in a grocery store. He was a very shy person. She did not care about boys or alcohol, and she did not go too close to discos. She was only interested in her studies. Only her best friend took her with him to various private parties. One day, without remembering how, she realized that she must have had pains all over her body, not suffering, and could not understand that things happened and what the cause was. At some point, her best friend was going to Germany and suggested that she go with him to a German family and she could have her room and sleep and eat, while all she had to do was take care of the children of the family and help the housewife with the housework. So she could earn money to send to her mother and go to school to learn the German language. Catherine felt very happy with the proposal, and a week later, in December 2004, she arrived in Germany where the German family was waiting for her. Along the way, however, found that it was all a trap by a well-organized organization of different nationalities who made false promises to young girls and forcing them to do things they didn't want to. A few weeks later, her best friend brought her to a bistro. It was strange because that day I was invited to some birthday and I had already brought my present. When I entered the shop, my feet led me to where Catherine was, the man said, without knowing why. She was alone, she didn't talk to anyone, she didn't laugh, while any smile that happened to appear in combination with her beautiful blue eyes showed a disappointment with life, as if there was no will to continue it. However, I could tell that she was a very nice person. I introduced myself to her, and she looked at me in surprise and smiled and told me her name, and for some reason I had the feeling that I knew her and that I should protect her, but I didn't know why. Through a small conversation about 10 minutes, I realized that I proposed to her, something unprecedented for me because I had never proposed to any other woman. She told me it was not possible, that she could not be with me, and that her best friend, who was basically the worst thing she could have chosen, treated her like she owned her, showing up, and she showed up and broke us up. When I turned to leave the bistro, two non-German men standing in front of me. One was big like a wardrobe and told me if I didn't want to get hurt, not to go near the girl again. I started to worry about Catherine and thought that the best thing would be to look for her, stand by her side. But suddenly I felt joy in my whole body, and something inside me was like a voice telling me not to worry and that she will make sure that they would make sure that she would follow my path and recognize who I am. It was a voice that I knew within me and that accompanied me since I was little. And whenever I heard it, many times in my life, it calmed me down. I liked this girl and I proposed to her, even though I had only known her for 10 minutes, with something unimaginable. I had never said such a thing to any other woman, and I thought I would like to marry her and told her so. I also wondered how, if my wish really came true and Catherine became my wife, how she would see all the strange things that happened near and around me, and how I could explain to her who these beings are that often come to see me, and why I disappear many times for a few hours, and who I really am, and why I'm here, and that I live between two worlds. I did not know how to explain all this to her. Because of all this, I preferred to live and be alone since I was a child, because I was used to a different life than what other people were used to. The next day, we communicated and talked regularly by phone, the number of which I had already given her from the first meeting. She half-heartedly told me her story without the main details, so I told her that her life was her own and that she had the right to choose who she wanted to be with her, It seemed like she had no right and no privacy, seemed to be under control. She didn't know or imagine what danger she was in, but she had a feeling that something was wrong with her. Not to mention, after a lot, I gave her the key to my house so that she can come whenever she wanted to. And when you need something, tell me, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to her without anything in return because I wanted her to be well and happy, the man said. I decided to always be by her side, even though I also knew that these beings protected her and had become her friends. I was also sure that the day would come when all that remained unseen would come to light, and thus we would begin to live together. Over time, Catherine felt more and more secure. She had started to live and smile, and her blue eyes, which started to come alive again, gave her a new face. She was able to study, enrolled in University of Cologne. I explained to her that when one door opens, another closes, and that I always keep my word. If she wanted to get married, and she will always have a place where she'd be safe and will never be alone, and she would have all the rights I have. We went to the police to file a complaint against the people that she didn't want around her, but we had no proof and knew none of these. We knew that none of these criminals would tell the truth. But how could we explain to the police the strange things that happened around her, and that the only witnesses there were beings from another world? So these all-seeing and all-knowing beings began to launch attacks to punish those responsible for and for the people who take their lives back into their own hands. Many women were spared, but we did not know how many young girls passed through this road. And however, these beings saved Catherine's life, and now this particular organization of criminal beasts no longer exists. Catherine confessed to me that after experiencing many extraordinary and wonderful things, she now knew that thanks to me and these beings, she could live free and be safe and happy. Today, she's sure that our meeting in that bistro could not have been by chance, and from that day, these beings began to be by her side, taking care of her and protecting her from all these beasts that wanted to harm her. They gave her a chance to live a new life, and today she can live freely and happily and be happy. And this is what Mr. Fernando narration said. So this is from a true story. Who knows what these beings were? Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.